Good day, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, we all know that in the absence of full clearance, EORE is the only instrument that saves lives. From our own experience, we can confirm that risk education is directly related to number of accidents and victims. It's my pleasure to be with you today to share experience from all over the world. Just like clearance has improved dramatically, this session will show you how EORE has evolved significantly over the past 2 years. The EORE advisory group has been an instigator to this moment. We will witness today EORE has evolved not only by adopting new technology, but also new approach. Empowering community with not but risk assessment tools, enabling them to make decisions related to risk based on the fact that in some situations individuals have limited choices and have to get close and have no one to report to or to ask for help from. Let me know. Thanks everyone for joining. This side event is co-organized by the Explosive Ordnance Risk Education Advisor Group and UNDP Lebanon. He is being recorded and will be available online. We encourage you to use the chat to introduce myself and share reaction. The format will have 2 parts. The second part will explore the development from a joint UN initiative on EORE for refugees from Syria in the context of return. I will return to this part later. But first, we want to hear from local NGO and other field practitioners from around the world about the challenge they are facing and how they are overcome them. Let's move to part 1. Over the last few years, there has been much momentum around explosive ordnance risk education, EORE. This has included as substantial strengthening of the global profile of EORE and the generation of number of research for EORE practitioners. Now, it's a critical moment to ensure that this progress does not remain at global level, but that the profile and knowledge again are also sharing among stakeholders in regional and national context. This side event will spotlight some experience and innovation of focal and other community.
Looks like we've just lost connection for a second. Give us just a moment here. Major Lama, are you still with us?
Yes, Caitlin, I'm here. Should we continue until maybe General? I think they have a problem in the connection.
No problem. Let's just give it a couple moments.
Okay.
And if not, then we'll continue and hopefully he can rejoin in a second. So bear with us just for a moment here, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I'll take this moment then to just, while we're waiting for the general to rejoin, invite anyone who hasn't already to introduce yourself in the chat, tell us where you're joining from. We're really excited to have you here. Major Lamont, perhaps you could take us forward with the introduction of part 1, and then hopefully the general will rejoin in a moment.
Okay, thank you so much, Caitlin. So sorry for this technical issues. So I'm Major Lamar from ILMAC. I will continue what was the general saying. So this side event will spotlight some experiences and innovation of local and other community-based organizations working at the forefront of explosive ordnance risk education. We will learn from them, from those who are as close as possible to the affected communities, those women and men who every day implement the action plans in the ground. Our speakers come from 6 countries or territories, most representing national NGOs. They join us from countries where, with many years of experience delivering risk education on the legacies of old conflicts to regions still experience active hostility. Statements from this field practitioners, mostly national NGOs, have been pre-recorded to enable them to join from anywhere without internet connection, posing as a barrier, as happened with us now. Subtitles have been added when the language used is not English. These are considerations we need to think about when ensuring access for all. We feel that these videos speak to the many ways that local organizations and communities are persevering in the face of challenges. These are voices that we need to hear. With this, I turn the floor to Ines Isa from the GICHD to share her screen, please.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
My name is Abdulaziz from Jubaland Mine Action Agency, Juman. I work as a in Bishop EORE project. Basically, our projects focus on vulnerable communities displaced by natural calamities like conflicts, returnees, and other target groups, mainly with no access to food and shelter. Majority of our target groups are children who are at risk of collecting explosive ordnance in their neighborhood, with many victims in each session. Some of the challenges we have overcome as an organization: we have trained CLO that has potential to deliver risk education to the communities to mitigate the risk of mine and UXO, but due to the large number of people in the camps and the staff we have is limited, which cannot be able to deliver risk education to all camps, we therefore form a community volunteers whom we train it and give them the necessary tool so that they also provide risk education to their communities. Since the children are the most at risk, and large number of them are neither in school or madrasa, nor with their parents, living in the street, nobody to care. As an organization, we prioritize on our sessions so as they adopt knowledge of safe behaviors when they are looking on their daily bread. Another interesting challenge was most of the communities do fear the mention of IEDs, even when they easily refer to which is planted on daily basis by militant groups. So during our sessions, we have to selectively mention the effects and the types of devices of IEDs so that we follow the do not harm.
Hello, greeting from the Hook. My name is Ismail Silevani. I am the director of Charité Humanitarian Organization. Charité is an Iraqi NGO that has been implementing explosive ordnance risk education in Nainawa since 2016.
مثل ما تعرفون احنا مرينا بحرب. الحرب انتهت، لكن مع الأسف مخلفات الحرب لحد الآن موجودة وتشكل خطر علينا.
صباح الخير أطفال الحلوين، جبنا لكم لعبة كلش حلوة وتحبونها اللي هي السلم والحية اللي تجنبكم من خلال هاي اللعبة مناطق الخطر حتى ما تصير عندكم إصابات وتفقدون دينكم ذن الحلوات، حتى تقدرون تكتبون بيها وتتعلمون بيها.
لقد حذرتنا منظمة شاريتي الإنسانية بأن جميع الأجسام خطرة إن كانت تالفة وإن كانت جديدة، لأننا يجب أن نتبع قواعد السلامة، وهي أن لا نقترب من أي جسم غريب وأي منطقة مقصوفة، وأن نبتعد ولا نلمس أي شيء غريب، ونحذر الآخرين ونبلغ هيا بنا لنذهب.
I'm Alfonso Toya, General Director of Fundación Barco, an organization that leads Pasos Seguros Initiative in Colombia, an alliance with USAID, Discovery, and Computadores para Educar to save life by educating about the risk of anti-personal mines through new information technology. Learning tools have changed, so have the ways in which people inform themselves, pushing us to adapt new technologies and new approaches. In this new context, the main challenge is to foster a culture of safe behavior, appealing innovation in order to reach more people in less time, both in cities and in the countryside. To achieve this, we are betting on technology development that use video platform, video games, and virtual reality without forgiving traditional media and the presence in the territory. We have developed a video series named Lalo and Lulu Take Safe Steps, in which we use everyday simple language using cartoons, allowing children to understand and adopt safe, life-saving behavior. With this product, we have reached over 36 million views in Colombia, transmitted since December 2019 by Discovery Kids channel, national and local TV channels, and YouTube. Additionally, we have 3 information video clips for parents and caregivers, also aired in different channels. We talk about the risk of explosive devices and safe behavior to avoid accidents with this type of objects. The alliance with different media allows us to take this message to thousands of people in the territory most affected by these issues around our country. Furthermore, on YouTube channel, we exceed 650,000 views in the episode of Lalo and Lulu. These tools complement the training and traditional education actions we perform in rural schools located in high-risk areas. We have also developed a virtual training course with which we provide training for teachers across the country to have able to develop roadmaps, drills, and contingency plans for this type of risk. In the same way, they have access to learning materials and tools that will assist them to incorporate education about the risk of anti-personal mines in their curriculum plans. As a complement to the learning process, we develop 3D video games and 3 virtual reality experiences. The purpose is for children to test their knowledge to the adequate decision-making and assess what they have learned in our workshop and training spaces. The Pasos Seguros program has impacted authorities positively. Public policy and the inclusion of comprehensive anti-personal mine in the government plan have been achieved. Through the development of this new wave of communication and carrying out risk education, we are strengthening communities. Our country is learning to take safe steps, achieving reduction in the risk of accidents caused by anti-personal mine and saving life.
Dear colleagues, in the field of humanitarian work, I'm Dr. Surat Al-Alias, my Risk Education and Victim Assistance Program Manager. I started working on raising awareness about the dangers of mines and remnants of war 5 years ago. I work with Baghdad Organization for Removing Mines and Cluster Bombs, which is a local non-profit, non-governmental organization devoted to humanitarian work. Our goal is to reach for Iraq free of mines and remnants of war. In Iraq, there is no large number of local NGOs working in the field of mines clearance and awareness of its dangers due to the great challenges that organizations face, such as the need for more funding, in addition to the security challenges that humanitarian organizations' teams may face. In Iraq, there are vast areas filled with mines and remnants of war, in addition to a large number of survivors who are in need of care, especially women and children. Baghdad organization supports women to work in this field, especially in the leadership positions. It also aspires to form a women's team to remove mines in Iraq. I would like to thank all participants in the 24th International Meeting of Mine Action Director and UN advisors for this opportunity, and let us working for a safer environment and planet.
نحن بالمركز لبنان للأعمال المتعلقة بالألغام نطلق حملات توعية سنوياً بتطال كافة المناطق اللبنانية وكافة الفئات العمرية. مؤخراً وتماشياً مع التكنولوجيا والتطور الحاصل بالعالم بمجال الاتصال والتواصل، عام 2019 وبالتعاون مع منظمة الماك تم تصوير أول فيلم وفقاً لتقنية ثلاثية الأبعاد الVR. في العام الماضي وبتمويل من الأونماس تم تأمين أجهزة VR للمركز اللبناني ليتم استخدامها في جلسات توعية لاحقة. للأسف بسبب جائحة كورونا لم يتم التوجه إلى المجتمع اللبناني بشكل مباشر إلا عبر وسائل التواصل الاجتماعي. بمناسبة اليوم العالمي للتوعية 4 نيسان وضمن حملة نيسان هيدا العام تم إطلاق حملة توعية طالب كيف المناطق وعرض هذا الفيديو للاعب فئات الشباب وفهم أكثر لمشكلة التلوث الموجودة بلبنان. مع انحسار موجة كورونا وفتح بعض المدارس أبوابها تم التوجه للمعهد الأنطوني حيث تم عرض هيدا الفيديو. بدك تعرف دايما توصل لهي القاعدة، لا تقترب، لا تلمس، بلغ فورا، بدك تخليها براسك. ما بقرب من شيء ما بعرفه، ما بقرب من محل أنا ما بعرفه إنه هيدا محل آمن، ما بلمس شيء شفته غريب لو شو ما كان، يمكن يكون شيء لعبة بس ما بلمسها لأنه مش لإلي، ما بلمسها لأنه ما بعرف عنها شيء، ودائما بدي بلغ.
في حال لقيتوا حالكم بمطرح خطر، يعني في تريانجل، في شيء بعيد شفتوه خطر، شو لازم تتصرفوا؟ أول شيء لازم دغري توقفوا مطرحكم، ما بتخطوا أي خطوة زيادة ولا بتزيحوا لا شمال ولا يمين.
بتمويل من الاتحاد الأوروبي وبدعم من منظمة اليونيسف وبالتعاون مع جامعة لبنان سيتم خلال الشهرين المقبلين تصوير 6 أفلام فيديو حيث سيتم احترام النوع والتنوع الاجتماعي ليتم استعماله لاحقا ضمن حملات توعية وليطال كافة الفئات العمرية وفئات المجتمع بكافة المناطق اللبنانية.
Nous constituons des équipes mixtes d'hommes et de femmes qui assurent de sensibilisation de proximité des communautés sur la prévention des accidents par les agents explosifs dans les zones d'intervention. MAG et TASAL ont mis en place une stratégie de recrutement local des agents chargés de conduire les opérations de sensibilisation de proximité. Donc, ils sont originaires et ont accès aux zones d'intervention. Ils sont formés pour assurer l'animation des séances d'éducation aux risques aux habitants des communautés affectées par les agents explosifs. Cette stratégie permet à MAG et à TASAG et à ses agents de gagner en efficacité et en confiance auprès des populations locales. En plus, la même stratégie épargne les équipes de sensibilisation des incidents sécuritaires en évitant des longs voyages à travers les zones d'insécurité. Étant chef de projet, j'ai eu à mettre en place un mécanisme de coaching et de mentorat à distance qui me permet de bien suivre et d'apprécier régulièrement le travail des équipes terrain et de les appuyer en conséquence. En faisant recours à la nouvelle technologie, voire les réseaux sociaux, je collecte les témoignages des victimes des agents explosifs identifiés et autres bénéficiaires. Je les analyse et propose des réponses à travers des réponses adaptées à leurs besoins en information de protection vis-à-vis des agents explosifs. En somme, il s'agit d'une éducation au risque de proximité à travers la participation active des membres des communautés affectées par les agents explosifs. Avec cette approche, le projet parvient à atteindre les hommes, femmes, filles et les garçons dans les villages, sites, hameaux, lointains, pour leur fournir les connaissances de protection contre les accidents par les engins explosifs. Je suis très satisfait de cette stratégie, qui permet à mon organisation de surmonter les contraintes sécuritaires dans les zones de mise en œuvre et bien réaliser les activités. Je remercie tous les partenaires qui ont appuyé la mise en œuvre de ce projet. Merci.
مرحبا، أنا اسمي هدى المدلل، أعمل في مجال التوعية بالمخلفات الحربية وفي مجال الاستعداد للطوارئ منذ عام 2020. أعمل في منطقة من أكثر المناطق خطورة وصعوبة وهي قطاع غزة. ففي قطاع غزة حيث يواجه فريقنا العديد من المصاعب والتحديات، حيث يبدع في إيجاد البدائل لتجاوز كل الصعوبات. لقد كان عامي 2020 و2021 من أصعب الأعوام التي مر بها القطاع، حيث واجه القطاع الذي يقبع تحت الحصار منذ ما يزيد عن 15 عاماً أزمة جائحة كورونا، في ظل نقص حاد وكبير من المستلزمات الصحية، مما أدى إلى إجراءات مشددة تخص الحركة والتنقل، حيث اضطر فريقنا للعمل من البيت رغم انشغال الجميع من المؤسسات والمختصين وحتى أفراد المجتمع بجائحة كورونا، إلا أن موضوع الاستعداد للطوارئ والتعامل مع المخلفات الحربية أبداً لم يكن موضوعاً هامشياً نظراً لطبيعة كان يحتم علينا كفريق الاستمرار بالعمل. في بيئة مثل بيئة قطاع غزة وفي ظل انقطاع مستمر للتيار الكهربائي، فإن ظروف العمل من البيت ليس سوى إلا تحدياً جديداً يضاف إلى سلسلة التحديات التي يواجهها فريق العمل في القطاع. ورغم ذلك استطاع فريقنا أن يبحث عن حلول مبتكرة لتجاوز تلك الأزمة، واستطاع خلال وقت قياسي أن يعمل على تجهيز كمية كبيرة من مواد التوعية بالمخلفات الحربية والاستعداد للطوارئ، ليتم بثها عن بعد عبر استغلال وسائل التواصل الاجتماعي. شمل ذلك إعداد تصاميم وفيديوهات مشابهة جرافيك وسبوتات إذاعية وغيرها، حيث استطاع فريقنا أن ينشر هذه المواد على صفحات الفيسبوك ومجموعات الواتساب وغيرها، من خلال دمج كل رسائل السلامة من مخلفات الحرب مع رسائل السلامة من فيروس كوفيد. وخلال العام 2020 وأثناء إعداد هذا الفيديو يتعرض القطاع لهجمات عسكرية إسرائيلية صعبة للغاية، اضطر خلالها بعض من أفراد العمل لترك منازلهم للذهاب لمناطق أكثر أمانا. ورغم ذلك يستمر فريقنا في أداء رسالته لرفع وعي السكان حول التعامل مع المخلفات الحربية وحول الاستعداد للطوارئ، مستخدما نفس منهجية العمل ومتحديا كل الظروف. قمنا بمشاركة هذه المواد والبوسترات لحتى الآن مع عشرات صفحات التواصل لجمعيات ومراكز العائلة ومجموعات واتساب سواء كانت إخبارية أو اجتماعية. نهاية سنبقى نحمل رسالتنا الإنسانية ونبذل ما بوسعنا لحماية مجتمعنا والحفاظ على سلامته.
It's okay, no?
Device playing sound in the room?
It's okay, no?
Right, let's give them a moment to come back. Try again.
Okay.
Hi, this is Christelle. Can you hear me? Caitlin, may I suggest that you take over as the chair until Brigadier Bechelani can address the problem just for the sake of time?
For the technical problem.
Ah, that's perfect. Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Ines, for sharing the video. Moving now to part 2. It's a pleasure to introduce the Explosive Ordnance Risk Reduction Project for refugees from Syria in the context of return. This project aimed to develop the need coping mechanism toward explosive ordnance to be able to rebuild their life safety as refugees return to Syria. Our speaker now, David Whitson, who has been working in humanitarian mine action for over 30 years. He is founder and director at Phoenix. He has drafted a number of international mine action standards, UNMAS, including for risk management. He is currently the EORE project for refugees from Syria. Sub-project C, coordinator on risk reduction. Major Ahmed has been working in mine action for 15 years. He is the head of the information management section at Lebanon Mine Action Center and responsible of training at the Regional School for Humanitarian Demining in Lebanon. Major Lama was also a member of the technical working group on subject C. We will start with your presentation. David, you have the floor.
Very much, General, and thank you very much everybody who's joined us here this afternoon for this significant subject. And it's one that remains important in so many parts of the world, as we've seen from those videos just now. We're going to start with the presentation. I will screen share now. So sub-project C of the initiative on ordnance risk management focuses on what we're calling risk reduction. And this phase has very much been a design and development phase. And the real purpose of it is to empower people to make their own informed management decisions about managing the risks of EO in the areas where they live. So the project looks at understanding the needs and the reality of risk faced by those, It very much builds upon the established principles of risk education that have been applied over many years, and again that we've just seen described in different ways in those videos. But it goes beyond that. It uses the principles of risk management set out in UNMAS 714, and I'm going to talk a little bit about those in a moment, before handing over to my colleague Major Lamar of the LMAC, who will describe in a bit more detail the detail of the training management plan that has been developed during this phase of the project. And he'll also touch on what is in that plan, but also what very much isn't, the things that this risk reduction program does not do, which can be equally important. And then we'll close with a brief discussion of the pilot phase that we hope to implement soon and other next steps. So in UNMAS 714, the approach to risk management starts from an understanding of context, and that's absolutely fundamental. It's impossible to manage risk with any confidence whatsoever without a clear understanding of the real world context within which those risks arise and the ways in which they impact upon the lives and behaviors of affected people. So within that context, we then look at identifying the risks, analyzing them to understand them more clearly, and then evaluating them. And in this context, evaluation of risks means determining how significant they are. Are they risks that need further action to try and reduce them, or are they acceptable as they are? And then risk treatment covers all of those potential types of action that can be taken to change risk, to reduce it, to mitigate it, to make it acceptable. And then because contexts change over time, it's important that reviews take place to understand ways in which responses need to change to reflect those changes in context. So starting with that question of understanding the context, what we really wanted to understand was the reality faced by returnees, and equally importantly, the way in which that reality changes and evolves over time. Fully recognize the value of established EORE principles and methodologies, but recognizing the way that context does change and the risks that people face change. This project very much builds on an understanding, a pragmatic understanding, that we need to equip at least some people with a wider understanding of risk management and the basic ways in which that can be applied within an explosive ordnance context, so that they can stay safe, not just when they return to contaminated areas, but through changing circumstances in the future. The project looked at identifying, analyzing, and understanding those risks during the return while people are moving from their displaced locations back to their intended residential locations, what happens on first arrival, what happens when accessing property, and then as circumstances change, recognizing the potential for conflict to reoccur, for the nature of contamination to change over time, and so on. Within the UNMAS, there are a number of options for treating risk, for changing it, mitigating it. One is to avoid it, and of course that's always been a strong message in any risk education program. One is to remove the source of risk, and in mine action, that's a fundamental purpose of any clearance program. We can reduce the likelihood of an adverse event taking place, and once again, that's a very strong component of any risk education. We can take action to reduce the consequences if something goes wrong. We can share risk. In some cases, that may be things like taking out insurance. Within the context that we're talking about, it's often about trying to make sure that the most appropriate, competent people undertake the most appropriate activities. And then finally, there is always the option of accepting risk if it is at a tolerable level. We're also very clear in this project that taking action to treat a risk can often create new risks. And that's part of balancing the idea of do no harm with the parallel concern of the harm that can arise from doing nothing. We've been very sensitive to these sort of issues throughout the project. The project's got a very strong team from UNDP, UNHCR, UNICEF, UNMAS, as well as representatives from GICHD, NPA, and on occasions other organizations. We had a small team of specialist technical advisors from the LMAC, from GICHD, from MPA, and from my own organization, Phoenix, and have been working over the last several months developing initially a draft package, a training management plan, which I'm just going to hand over now to Major Lamar to describe in a little bit more detail.
Thank you so much, David. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and good afternoon again. Actually, I was pleased to participate as a member in this technical working group. And let me present a summary of what we did. So starting from the definition in UNMAS 1210, explosive ordnance risk education are activities which seek to reduce the risk of injury from explosive ordnance by raising awareness and promoting behavioral change. Actually, all objectives of this project will reinforce and promote the standard message of avoiding any item of explosive ordnance and notifying authorities so that specialist demining or EOD teams can deal with the ordnance. But the reality is that various types of explosive ordnance are present in Syria, and in many areas, especially where there's continued or recent insecurity, disposal teams are unavailable or only available in very limited numbers. In this situation, the need to get on with life within a context of many other competing and often urgent demands overrides the message of just report and wait. This may force affected people to attempt active engagement with explosive ordnance, leading to significant risks. Here's the importance and the need for enhanced explosive ordnance risk education training that improves the ability of individuals to apply dynamic risk assessment approaches, different from those reflected in standard risk education training, and equip refugees with increased awareness and understanding of explosive ordnance through skills and knowledge in a specific area. Next slide, please. So the aim of this training is to build an established risk education approach, as David mentioned, such as how to prepare for a safer return to Syria by gathering information in the place where they are, and how to travel safely and protect their lives on the road back to home, then what actions to be taken immediately once arriving. The training will also communicate higher level of risk education messages by extending their understanding of explosive ordnance categories and related risks, by improving their understanding of risk assessment and mitigation principles and practices, to be able at the end to use available information to support safe and effective decision making and influence surroundings group. The training will extend knowledge and capabilities in specific areas, especially when it's come to actions to be taken when planning and preparing to approach a property by looking for ground signs and indicators and selecting a safe access. Then action to be taken to safely access and search a property in a systematic way to locate any potential risk and make the proper decision based on findings. And here I mean by search, it's just a basic visual search without using of any equipment at a technical level. On the other hand, the training will not engage with the children from anyone under the age of 21, and will not teach anyone how to defuse or disarm or otherwise engage with explosive ordnance at a technical level. And finally, open and uncontrolled messages will not be transmitted through any media. So So all course materials should be delivered during the course and not in any other platform. So with a limited number of participants, to ensure a high quality of training, this course is intended for both men and women under the age of 21 who are carrying out household decision-maker responsibility. Most of participants will be identified during sub-project A and sub-project B. Sub-project A is the standard risk education training, and I want to mention here that sub-project B tackles first aid. Actually, the Lebanese Red Cross developed a customized program which blends between the ICRC blast trauma training and traditional first aid training. Next slide, please. So, as mentioned before, a training management plan have been developed by the team to define the training and management requirements necessary to effectively deliver the training. This TMP contains learning objectives, syllabus, and the program of instruction. The program will consist of both theoretical and practical session in a classroom and in a field-based environment. And there's an idea to prepare some videos that show practical exercise, especially about ground science and how to conduct a systematic visual search. Videos are suggested just in case where it's difficult to find an environment that reflects the reality. And the aim of these videos is to ensure that training is delivered in a standardized way in any country. This training will be delivered in a logical sequence over a period of 4 days to cover the main 7 objectives of this course. There's a potential to compress day 1 and day 2 in 1 day for those who have completed the sub-project A. As I mentioned, sub-project A is a standard risk education training where most of risk education approach are covered. So the focus in this one compressed day will be on risk assessment and risk identification and mitigation. And as you see in this timeline, day 3 and day 4 are the most obvious risk education, the most obvious risk reduction part of this training. These days include the application of a systematic procedure to visually search a property and conduct a continuous risk assessment while avoiding unnecessary and risky actions. Throughout the training, participants will be required to demonstrate the correct understanding of the objectives. And the most important thing is that they should be able to make a decision whether to use the property or not. During the course, instructors will explain the training objectives of each session and how achievement of the objectives will be measured. At the end, feedback and training evaluation will be a key elements to measure the success of the session delivered through a set of key questions that focus on the improvement of competencies and performance of refugee to make their own informed explosive ordnance risk management decisions. For a continuous improvement, the evaluation will not be limited to the feedback at the end of the course, but stakeholders will be invited also to provide feedback against the objectives at suitable time frames after the completion of any course. Thank you so much for your attention. David, the floor is yours again to talk about the pilot project. David, if you can unmute yourself.
Yeah, thank you very much, Major. Yes, so having developed that draft package of training material, detailed lesson plans, and all the supporting logistic information that has to go with it, the next step really is to test it. And the intention is to move pilot phase as and when a suitable partner can be found able to deliver this within a field setting. And the location where that happens is also one that is under discussion. But the aim of it will be to use that training management plan and on the basis of the experience gained in that process to refine it, to gain a better understanding of the needs of the participants. Because while we've obviously spent a good deal of time investigating that as part of this initial design and development phase, we all understand that it's really only when there is a real life opportunity to present this material to appropriate participants that the detail of that will become clear. So having done all of that, the aim is that we can then move from this current draft package to a formally agreed package of material that's suitable for use pretty much anywhere. Clearly, any package needs to be adapted to reflect the local context in terms of the type of threat, in terms of the prevailing security situation, and other factors. But the aim is that this should provide a solid template that can be used by anybody anywhere. So we're looking forward to moving into that next stage. That's the end of this short presentation. So I'll hand back to the session coordinator. So thank you very much indeed.
So I would like to give you 1 minute the floor, okay?
Thank you, General Jihad. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, everyone. This is a great side event. On behalf of the EORE advisory group, I just wanted to share my congratulations with all NGOs who contributed, local NGOs who contributed with their videos, and also acknowledge the great work done by LMAC in Lebanon, and again we appreciate these collaborations, this partnership with UNDP Lebanon through this side event. I just wanted to say that this is the 24th NDM, National Mine Action Directors meeting. So in 24 years, it's the first time we have an event where local NGOs have the floor. So it was really amazing to have all these experiences from 3 continents that were shared with all of us. And we'll make sure that all that is published, that all that will be in the website, in the AG website, but also in the NDM website, because we want to promote the voice from the field. And thanks, David, and of course, Major Lama, for this great presentation, and to stimulate our thinking about how EORE should be connected to broader risk reduction initiatives, and how it's amazing to see how you are experimenting those other risk reduction initiatives through this project in Lebanon. And we are really looking forward to the result of your test. I will stop here, and again, thank you for leading this event, General Jihad. Over to you. Thanks.
Thank you, Hugues. Thank you, David. Thank you, Ahmad, for your excellent presentation. Very interesting ended. To sum up, I would like to thank the local NGO that shared your statement. I thank also the member of the EORE advisory group that connected with us, your partner mine, advisory group MAC, to supporting the translation and subtitle of server of the videos, and thank everyone here for participating today. Finally, as a reminder, the recording of this event will be shared later. We encourage you to continue this discussion through join the International MRE Working Group, the URE Advisor Group web page, also the server resources for EORE at all levels, from planning and implementation to monitoring results to overall advocacy. Link to access both of these groups have been shared in the chat. Thank you all and have a pleasant day. Thank you.